Alright, so I changed my water out, and we are literally going to create a wash for our sand and our sun. Lots of washes here. Still, I got some blue in my brush. It drives me nuts. I use so much blue for that water. It's tainting my brush strokes. All right. Okay. Go really careful here on the feet. Wiggle and chisel your way through the toes. And I like to line my brush up right against the leg of my bird and move myself over. That's what I found has kind of helped me when doing this. Chisel my way in here, chisel my way in there, covering all the sparse spots with some paint. Now I'm using thin layer of water here and a stroke or two of yellow. And I'm going to work with all the areas on my paper that have the color yellow, so I don't risk messing with my watercolor cup. See that? Just chisel your way in using the points and edges of the brush. Bebop your way up to the sun. Now the sun I kind of want to have a little more vibrant. Of course, the blue in my brush is affecting my color. That's part of the reason why I started this project over and redid all this. But such is life. I'm going to clean out my brush, my outliner brush, make sure it's nice and clean. Look at that, it's already getting my water all muddied up. And I'm going to start working on the brown area. I could do green. Now I have a damp brush here and I am gathering up lots of paint. My brush is damp. It's not soaking wet. It's not dry. It's like I just came out of the shower and rubbed some of the water off my head. That's how you're going to get this fluid, dark, opaque line that I'm stroking here down on the paper. That's how you're going to get that. So just put in your outliner here. Outline your hats. You might have to revisit. Add a little more of that paint on there. If your brush gets super dry, just water bug the tip of your paintbrush into the surface of your cup. And I say water bug because it's literally like the legs of a water bug. Your butterfly kissing it into the paper. Once you're done with your outline, you can use a medium or small flat that's damp with no paint, towel dry damp, not soaking wet, not super dry, and you can thin out some of that bold outline and drag it into the body of your hat, like so. There we go. Oh, that's cute. Now before we add any shadow or detail, we're going to have to wait for the surface to dry a little bit, because if we try to start adding shadow now, you're just going to move paint around in a muddy puddle and you're going to get really ticked off. So just wait until your hats and your tree trunk, let's scoop some of this up, are dry. And you might even add just a little dab of paint to your brush when you get closer to your tree. Totally up to you. Wait for these areas to dry before you add any additional details. While you're waiting for this area to dry, your sand should be dry now. So you can add a little bit. Oh, that feels good. You can add a little bit of details here. Maybe you want some lines in your sand to add texture. Maybe you want some rocks. I do know that I want my sun to kind of have a swirly here because I think it looks kind of cool. And I do know that I want really bright sun rays blasting off from the body of my sun. And in order to get that, I waited to use oil pastel to apply that. Let me see. Maybe I want some strips of light blue in the water to create some reflective pieces of light to break up some of these dark spots. Totally up to you. By now your hats are mostly dry, so let's switch back to our damp brush with a little bit of brown on our outliner brush. And let's kind of shade in some of our hat's definition. And we can do that with our palm tree too. You can add some stripes of color to kind of make it look a little more textured. Maybe a strip of brown. There we go. I'm going to clean out my brush real well because I want to do the outlining feature with my palm leaves as well. When I squeeze off the excess amount of water from my brush, I'm going to swivel the tip of my brush around in my green paint for at least 2 happy birthday songs. That should give me enough paint on my brush to create a bold outline. You see that? Real bold. I'm going to need to water bug my painting. And this is just a repetitive process. Outline, drag in. Wait for your wash to dry, add detail or shadow. And repeat, and repeat, and repeat. Gotta squeeze out all my extra water. And Drag, 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 drag. Maybe I want little dots of green. Drag, 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 drag. Now, since my palm tree is way back there, I am not going to worry about adding finer detail to the leaves. But I am going to squeeze out the extra water on my outliner, and I'm going to add my eyes and my beak. Maybe even add some shadow to my leg. There we go. To my toes to kind of help these legs pop from my yellow background. And that, my friend, is how you can get two cartoony looking flamingos using watercolor.